be specific, for 13.95% on average on our loans between 1 and 5 years, and September, up from 11.9% a year earlier. Talk about the risk-based lending model. Now, that's where we flex our muscles, because we know there's a big corporation and they can actually get to pay these loans. So why can't you charge them more? My interpretation. So when you look at it, at this particular time, we're talking about personal loans to individuals attracting an average interest rate of around 13.2%, yeah? And at September, up from 12.1% a year earlier. We do know why that this is the case, and we do expect that that is also going to be reviewed upwards because of the current inflation numbers that we've been going with across the country. Now, that is just a snapshot of exactly what is happening besides the COP27, besides the pilot strike, and all that is going on across the country right now. Is that the banking industry is charging the banking or the bigger firms in the country more for their loans. Remember, the conversation has been, can we get it to 14%? If it's at 13.95%, that is just 0.5 basis points to get into 14%. I will tell you, sorry, 50 basis points to get into 14%. I will tell you what, it's going to get to 14% during this particular period. That is how we introduce Look at Business today. So now let's get into what is taking center stage then for or in the economy right now. My name is Simba Kiage. Join us live at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. The hashtag is Look Up Business. Let's get started. Employment and Labour Relations Court has directed strike in Kenya Airways KQ pilots to call off their strike and resume work today at 6 a.m. In a ruling delivered on Tuesday, Justice Anna Mwaure also directed the KQ management to allow the pilots to do their duties without harassment. Our reporter, Shadrach Karebia, is live at JKIA as we speak right now, just to paint a picture of what is going on at the airport on the back of the ruling of the court yesterday. Shadrach Karebia, if you can get us right now, could you bring us up to speed on exactly what is happening on the ground as regards operations at JKIA?
Well, Simba, at JKIA International Airport here, there's a lot of things happening here. It's big activities here at JKIA. There's a lot happening, and we recall that the pilots have been strike for the last 4 days. Things are recovering slowly by slowly, returning to normalizing slowly by slowly. And what we can see here today is there's no, a lot of passengers have now maybe been sorted. Some of them are traveling, have already, those who had ticket issues have already been renewed and they are set to travel. This strike has cost a lot, KQ a lot, since we heard that from the Alan Kivula, the CEO, saying that the KQ has been suffering a loss of 300 million shillings per day, and that's they have been on strike for like 4 days. So it means that they have incurred, let's say, a loss of more than 1 billion shillings, that is on transport alone, and not counting other losses resulting from maybe the luggages or other stuffs. So we'll be here today to see what are some of the things that are happening here. This strike was called off after the Labour Court, led by Magistrate or Justice Anna Mwaure, who directed the pilot to go back to work, to come back to resume their duties today in the morning. And that has actually happened here at JKIA International Airport. Pilots have returned to work, and last evening the pilots through Kalpa the culprit directed its pilot to get back to work, and all those have been sorted out. So what is remaining here is just KQ finalizing some arrangement to ensure that travelers who had been maybe frustrated by the delay have now recovered their journey, or maybe they go to their destination. Though we've witnessed some of them here at JKIA stranded, some of the passengers stranded due to such issues such as their tickets and other things that has caused them to remain here at JKIA International Airport. But the KQ management has said that they will be sorted, and by tomorrow or maybe the day after tomorrow, they will have to travel to their destination. So we'll be waiting to see what happens here as days goes. Remember, this strike could have caused the KQ a lot, including maybe the honor that it has been receiving as the proud of Africa, as they call themselves. So we are waiting to see if they are going to recover the pride, the lost glory that maybe could have been distracted by the 4-day strikes. So we'll be here to see what are some of the key things happening. We see if the KQ will communicate about this. And remember, the Labour Court ordered the pilot to get back to work, but also give a condition or warned the KQ against harassing pilots. They were asked actually to just allow the pilot to perform their duties without any form of maybe harassment. So we will wait to see if that happens, because pilots now, they have been pushed and pulled between the KQ and the CALPA, which is body which is concerned about the pilot, the welfare of the pilots. So we are going to see what are some of things and how are these two bodies going to relate moving forward. We'll also be waiting to see if the pilots will be heading to, we actually be filing their response to the suit that they were accused by the KQ of rejecting or maybe ignoring court orders. So that are some of things that are expected to come thereafter, and we'll be here to just inform our viewers of some of things that are happening here. Simply these particular strike could have even affected even the passengers. Some of them are saying that they had to travel. Some of them, like I was talking to one of them saying that he had booked an examination to go maybe to countries such as UK to do an exam, but this strike has cost her a lot, so she might even end up maybe missing the examination. Some of them have missed job opportunities. We've spoken to some of them saying that they were heading to interviews in different parts of the country, including the United States of America and even the UK. So those are some of the challenges that the passengers here have gone through for the last 4 days. Back to you in studio, Elijah Charles, Simba Kiage.
Pretty much, that is Shadrach Arabia right there at the JKI. Bring us up to speed on exactly what is going on there. And remember, this is a story that we have a particular interest in. We should be keeping a tabs on it. And should we have anything then that needs proper reporting, we should be giving it back to you, especially on that particular ruling on the suit. Let's move on. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu has denied his earlier remarks on the government ending university funding program. This comes at a time when Kenyans continue raising complaints on the CS's remarks, noting that it will be impossible for most parents to send their children through institutions of higher learning, as Sami Adika now reports.
Days after Ezekiel Machogu, Education CS, said that the government is likely to cut down university funding, education stakeholders across the country have continued to raise concerns regarding his remarks.
Kutokana na hali ya dunia hii, watu wengi wanategemea ushuru wanaotoa ili waende wagawe kuelekea kwa education, nyingine inaenda kilimo, nyingine inaenda barabara, nyingine inaenda nini. Na ile ambayo inaenda kwenye idara yake hiyo ambayo ni ya elimu. Kwa nini anataka kuelekeza hiyo pesa wapi?
Nandi residents have noted that parents with children in institutions of higher learning are likely not to afford fees of higher education as the economy continues surging as the days goes by.
And you know what the government of Kenya has been doing? Helping them through these help loans and funding the universities. And you know where we are now and where we have come from. please, 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 please. 90% of our university students are from very, very poor backgrounds.
Baraton University lecturer Cesar Wamalika has however supported the sentiments by the Education CES, noting that it is most likely to end the traditional poor financial management in the higher learning institutions.
Alilopendekeza yule mkuu wa elimu haikuwa kwamba wanafunzi hawatapewa msaada wa pesa, haikuwa hivyo. Ilikuwa watu wanafikiria kwamba sasa wanafunzi wataachwa hivyo. Mimi siamini hiyo. Mimi naamini kwamba muda umefika ambapo lazima serikali pia iangalie jinsi elimu ya chuo kikuu inavyoendeshwa.
As these debates continue across the country, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has today come out strongly to assure the country of the government's dedication to improve the sector that has faced much controversy, especially after the introduction of CBC. Samia Dika, Lookuptv.
The Kenya Revenue Authority is confident it will meet its annual excise duty tax target despite the lawmakers are shooting down some of its major proposals. Now, to review taxes of majority of essential goods, the Kenya Revenue Authority targets to collect 297.2 billion shillings from excise duty in the current financial year.
The taxman is upbeat about meeting the targets under excise duty despite the 12th Parliament declining to allow new excise duty on essential commodities. Some of the items exempted include ice cream with a burden pushed to betting, powdered beer, motorcycle taxis, border borders, bottled water, and fee earned by media houses from the advertisement of alcoholic drinks. The MPs also rejected a plan to increase excise duty on powdered beer by 12.15 shillings per litre from 121.85 shillings per litre and by 0.57 shillings per litre of water from 6.03 shillings, as well as 15% tax on ice cream. The taxman initially targeted to raise 297.20 billion from excise duty for the financial year ending June 2023 as set by the Treasury. This will be a 45.11 billion or 17.89% growth over 252.09 billion excise duty receipts for the year ended June last year. With KRA recently hitting their targets in recent financial years, it will be an interesting journey to see the route Ruto's government will take, especially after former retired President Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta's administration increasingly expanded the basket of products it charged excise duty, unlike in the past when it largely applied on the goods and services considered harmful to the health of the society or morally suspect, hence the term sin tax. For Look Up Business, Sandrine Mwenda.
The pending bills committee task force tasked by the Murang'a County government to audit the expenditure by the county government has released a shocking and detailed report that has outlined how the former administration left pending bills amounting to 2.4 billion shillings and paid over 200 ghost workers 195 million shillings per year. The details came out when the task force was submitting the report to Murang'a Deputy Governor Stephen Munania.
After auditing 516 claims of the pending bills amounting to 2.4 billion shillings, the committee verified 174 claims that amounted to 646 million shillings, with the 1.5 billion deficit turning out to be unverifiable. The committee vice chairperson Caroline Njoroge said there was a lack of adherence to the procurement process by the previous administration's procurement committee.
Committee recommends payment of 174 claims, and that amounts to 646 million only. So the difference, which is about 1.580 billion, were found to be wanting at the point of our investigations, and we could not outrightly recommend them for payment until further scrutiny of various material factors that need to be done on these bills, such as availability of relevant documents, evidence of supply of goods, proof of works on the ground, and the remaining and a few bills that were around 118 bills amounting to 249 million were outside the scope. Remember that we were only looking at 2 financial years, so we did not have mandate to interrogate 118 bills.
It was also noted that the county government recurrent expenditure was at 59.9% against the Public Finance Management Regulation Act of 2012 that states that 65% of the county budget should be spent on development. The committee revealed further how 222 ghost workers were drawing a salary amounting to 195 million shillings per year in the audit.
We have also found that the county has 1,856 workers whose term required to be reviewed so that they can enjoy the benefits of regular employees rather than being on contract all the time. The county has externally contracted services which can be rendered by internal staff, which cost the county 4.9 million per month, which should be regularized.
Murang'a Deputy Governor Stephen Monania has lauded a task force committee, saying the findings will help the county save more than 300 million annually. Monania has said this is a new beginning for the county and it will assist in service delivery to Murang'a County residents.
The major task that we have received from this task force is to be able to align our services with policies that are adherence with the regulations, both from the national government, both from the laws that we do make from from our constitution to those that we do make from our county assembly. This is going to help us in this task of ensuring that we do have a comprehensive service to our Murang'a people.
Edwin John Mokora, Look Up Business.
On to the next one. APA Insurance Company has blacklisted 28 models of cars that they deem unfit to be insured as private vehicles in Kenya due to the abuse of use. While releasing the list of the cars blacklisted by the insurer, APA indicated that the decision was made on the back of industry knowledge on how the cars are used locally, which contravenes insurance policies. Lisa Maina with that story.
Kenyans driving Toyota Wish, Vitz, Probox, Fielder, Honda Stream, Fit and Airwave models, Suzuki Swift, Mazda Demio and Axela, Nissan Tida, Vanet and Wingroad will face repercussions. According to CEO of APA Insurance Ashok Shah, the decision was made after frequent use of cars in carrying passengers while they are registered as private vehicles, adding that they should be insured as buses or taxis. In the statement, the insurer indicated that they officially stopped the comprehensive covers for the models, misuse and breaching the policy requirements. At a time when insurance premiums for cars have skyrocketed, the lovers of the models have to look elsewhere for their covers. For Look Up Business, Lisa Maina.
Lisa Maina with that one. So if you then have been using APA to get your insurance and those models have been listed, then once yours expires, then you have to look for somewhere else than to get your insurance. And I do apologize for that. Now, Kakamega Governor Fernandez Baraza spent 12 hours at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission offices for questioning over corruption allegations during his tenure at a Kenya Electricity Transmission Company. Now, EACC is also investigating claims that a controversial deal that saw taxpayers lose 18 billion shillings. Now, the money was paid to a private investor due to delays in connecting the Lake Turkana wind power to the national grid. National Assembly's Public Investments Committee report also concluded the wind farm project, the largest in Africa, was poorly managed and that the blunders by the government entities cost the taxpayer. Let's take a look at that.
Hey. Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that today I decided to heed the call by EACC just to clarify on a few issues regarding the project which I am very happy to be associated with. That is Lake Turkana Wind. This is a project that put Kenya on the global map. We are now getting electricity from wind from Lake Turkana because of the transmission line, which I was the key person implementing the line. So the issues I've come to confirm here is I believe in accountability as a public officer, and I will always even come anytime I'm required. Right now I'm a governor, anytime I'm required by any office to clarify on issues, I'll always honor that invitation. So far, there are many officers who are being invited here. So it's not a Baraza Fernandez affair. And that's why I just wanted to confirm that this is not a Fernandez Baraza affair. It is not political. There are many officers who have come here. My former PS was here. The acting CEO was here. And many other officers will come here to clarify the issues with regard to project and the role they played in the project.
It's been exactly 2 hours and 25 minutes of trading, because we do know markets open at 9 a.m., isn't it? And then it go all the way up to 3:30 or 3 p.m. For those people who say, I should be trading for maybe 5 hours a day. I already see a couple of changes here and there on live data that we're getting from the NSE. But for now, let's cross over back to how they opened this morning so we can take a couple of lessons from there. So we're going to ask ourselves how this is essentially going to close. Can already see the likes of Safaricom and KCB and KPLC already really taking center stage. But for now, let's go back and start from what was our biggest gainers yesterday. And let's see whether a couple of changes from what the list has been, by the way, in this fourth quarter of this year. Even may confirm then from the data that we have here. Indeed, we do have our gainers, and you can actually see from them. It's interesting that Centum is now becoming a gainer from yesterday, because you see they are 8 shillings and 50 cents, their lowest, by the way. Look at that. But that's a big gain from where they were last week, because we confirmed they were around 8.15, 8.20. In fact, there was a time in trading last week where we're almost getting back to 7 shillings, I'll tell you there. And then after that, you can actually see we have Scan Group Media, the PLC, that's at 3 shillings and 18 cents at a positive of 4.26. And the NSE closing in at least at 7 shillings and 50 cents. Let's just leave it there for now and go to what were the biggest losers yesterday. But I could confirm that we do have currently, in terms of real-time trading, that list is going to have Kenya Re, it's going to have Umeme as the new entrance into that. All right, let's look at what were the biggest losers yesterday, and I will tell you who are there right now. And you could actually say that not so much of a change. By the way, this is exactly as it's been. You can talk about East African Cables Limited. We do know exactly what is happening there. HF, we do know what's happening with HF as well. They've been minting that particular loss in that particular one, because now you can get it at 3 shillings, 4.76, trading at a big discount. You didn't ask me if you look at the other banking quotas on the NSE. So, I mean, not so much of a change. And if you check out exactly what is going on right now, Bamburi is trading at 34. That will be a big loser as well. Salam, 9.34. If they end like that, they're going to end at 6.41% on the negative. And also, East African Cables Limited, now they're back at 1 shilling. Will be 3 shillings 3.85% in terms on the negative. Let's look at the big boys in terms of the movers yesterday. Let's confirm whether the markets are back to being liquid. Indeed, Safaricom ended at 5 million. Still, very small numbers if you ask me. But if you have KCB and APSA and BAT and Kenyan, then you will say that was a good trading. But now we do have BAT back on the big boys in terms of that volume from yesterday's trading. KCB and APSA, not so much of a surprise. We do expect that those are the healthy numbers from those particular quarters. Kenyan has been a good performer in terms of being among the biggest movers. And the BAT now is the new entrant at 514,900. You would say quite subdued trading going by those particular numbers. But we do know international investors are particularly on break. Now we're talking about Thanksgiving coming soon. I can't believe that the year is coming to an end. Probably that's why those numbers look like that right now. KPLC is back on the big boys, by the way, today as we talk. Right now, after 2 hours and 29 minutes of rating, we're talking about 133K, KCB 162K, Kenyan 196K, EABL back on it as well, 224. But Safaricom is a standout right now because they've already crossed the 1 million mark at 1.4 million. Before we go for a break, I want to ask you, do you still think that women are underrepresented in business in this country? Once we come back, we have those conversations.
Get a chance to wake up as a tourist as you view Mount Kenya every day by buying a plot of land at Wema Gardens, Naru Moru. At only 400 meters off tarmac, this is the right place to build your dream home, cottages or holiday homes. You can also buy this property to give to your children as a special inheritance. Water and electricity are in the vicinity, while neighbors are already building their homes. These plots are specially ready for you with title deeds scheduled to be out in 6 months. Buy a 50 by 100 plot of land at Wema Gardens for only 399,000 Kenya shillings. You can also pay for your plot through our friendly one-year installments plan.
Good to have you join us on Heart to Heart.
We bring you stories of people who, despite the pressures they experienced, still trusted God to see them through.
The seeds that was sown in me helped me navigate and overcome that period of my life.
New testimonies, new insights, and even better revelation of the good things God has in store for us.
There is always a blessing waiting for someone in every episode.
Your Excellency, these women work a lot, and they work with the counties. I have a woman who is in this room who has done a lot in manufacturing, but her pending bill is 78 million, somewhere in one of the counties. Your Excellency, if it is in your power, we shall write to you that memo as the chair of COG so that you intervene on behalf of these women who are in this room. I had wanted to say two, but allow me to go to the third one, that we start businesses and sometimes we do not know where to get market. But Kenya is a market in itself. If you could help us to have linkages with the counties and have inter-county trading to expand on the horizon, we can even create market days in those counties so that any person coming from Nakuru can comfortably trade with a person in Kirinyaga. And of course, this is policy. There's a lot of cess, double taxation. I'm sure you're going to work on that so that these women here, because these are the traders in those counties. Some of them have big businesses, some small businesses. So as we strive to get to the ESC market, to the African continent, and of course to the outside world, let us also utilize the market that is within us. We are a market by ourselves. So if you could assist us, Your Excellency, with those three requests, we are going to be really happy, but we are still very happy even now that you are here with us. Unconditionally.
So I want to acknowledge your achievements and your contribution in building this economy. You are a significant engine of economic growth. Actually, without enterprise and entrepreneurs, there would actually be very, very little innovation, little productivity, little growth, and very few jobs. The modern and innovative world has been built by entrepreneurs such as yourselves, men and women who have invented something from nothing. They've created employment. They've made the world what it actually is today. So in many ways, the presence was construed by entrepreneurs. And maybe let me allow you to give us each a hand clap, because we are here today because you have done what you have done. Allow me to further say, and I know there's a pastor in the room, that you're all mad. You decided on this entrepreneurial journey. There was something in your belly, something just kept, I've got to do this. Some of you went against the grain. Some of you just quit and whatever. Others of you planned yourselves into it. But you kept doing it, and you've kept going and going and going. I know someone way back who was mad as you lot. They didn't have any formal training, didn't want to be employed, jumped into it, no plan, no business plan, nothing, wakaingia tu. And they struggled, and they were hit by everything that hits you guys. Everything. They go to the bank, wanauliza collateral. They try to develop a product, it fails. They go to market, they are told, no, you're not the big boys, we don't want you. They try to step out of the home, challenges dio hiyo, mtoto, I don't know what. Ladies, you know the story. But this person kept on, and they kept at it, and they kept moving, and they kept pushing. Every day, wakichoka, you take a break, you keep going. They went universities, read, asked, and they did it. 27 years later, here I am. And like was asked here earlier, people always ask you, how did you do it? Imagine just like that. Just by being mad. You just say, this is it, and this is how. But remember, for me, I didn't have a career, so there was no stepping back and saying, let me go back to the comfort of my job. I had no job. I didn't, straight out of college, and that is what I wanted to do. So ladies, the number of female entrepreneurs are actually growing. They're increasing in the world, and actually due to COVID, the numbers have blown exponentially. But women still remain outnumbered by men 3-1 when it comes to business ownership. At home, that is global. At home here in Kenya, women-owned businesses are making a significant contribution to the Kenyan economy. Ladies, your businesses account for about 48, I think Waiguru said 50% of all MSMEs, which contributes about 20% to GDP. So can you already start seeing the disparity? 50%, but we are contributing only 20% to the GDP. And of all 400, maybe 500,000 jobs created annually, majority, I think it's 85% of those are created by women. So despite your potential, women-owned businesses in Kenya are less likely to grow. They are smaller, and they are twice as more likely to be operated from the home than male businesses. They earn less, 57%, call it 60% less income than male businesses, and they have fewer employees. And I believe this reason is because of why do women start businesses? And you know, the numbers say women start businesses for convenience. I want to take my child to school. I want to be there for Parents' Day. My boss is stressing me. I want the freedom. Women start businesses to be with their children. They start businesses because wamechoka. It's okay. It's okay. I'm comfortable. The difference, men start businesses for one reason. A lot of men start businesses because they want to be big. The second reason they say men start businesses is because they want bragging rights. Wakiwa huko, hii, unaona hii yote, hii ni yangu. So the difference is, what brings us to the table is totally different. So ladies, we are less in number. We have smaller businesses. The reasons we start businesses are not exactly what the men do. So allow me to challenge you tonight, and let us step out of our comfort zones. The ones who have businesses, why don't we scale them up? Why can't we just say, I want to be big like the men do? The ones who are saying, I want to start business because I want the freedom, fine, but start a big one. Of course, you might ask how. How do we do this? It's easier said than done. I've been on this journey 27 years. It's not been easy. The short answer to that question of how, I want to say, is think like a man. How do men think? If I asked a question in Greek today, I can assure you the person who will put up their hand first will be a man. They might not know the answer. Actually, majority of the time they don't, excuse me. But they will put up their hands and figure it out as they are moving.
We're here to celebrate women who have found a room, built a table right in the middle, and pulled a seat at the head of it. We're here to celebrate that these rooms are growing each year by number, offering value and impact. And at this point, I'd like to give sincere apologies from two of my colleagues. I was laughing because the chair lady says, please come and give apologies, and goes on to give the apologies on my behalf. As you have heard, my sister, Her Excellency Cicely Mbarira, was to be here. She was coming from a funeral up country, and she's on the same flight with me. So we are heading out just in a few. And my sister, Simba Kiage, Her Excellency Governor of Nakuru, had to leave a little early, so she left in the flight yesterday, and that is why they are not here. We have our official business in some faraway country, and I beg your indulgence for allowing me to even speak. Earlier, I had actually requested to cancel, but because of the nature, if all of us canceled, I requested to come and speak first and leave, so that at least one of us is represented. So chukueni tuseme masalamu zao. Kwa Kiswahili unasema, I almost said it in Kikuyu, amukira igadho shiao. You know, we've been campaigning for the last 2 years, and I was telling someone that I had become so village that reading a paragraph in the newspaper was taking me like, you know how you usually just skim through? Because every conversation up country is in your mother tongue. So please receive their greetings in the air. Thank you very much. Sitting here today, together, these rooms offer inspiration, comfort, motivation, and even shelter for many more as they pursue their own structures to excel in. I am here today, and that is the strangest part of my coming. I was never to get this far, not as a finance professional, not as a governance practitioner, and definitely not as a politician, not even as a mother or a wife. I did not look like I would survive any of those battlefronts, not because I did not enjoy those layered roles, but because the designed system did not envision a woman like me. It turns out that they were wrong. When you are asked, how did you do it? And how do you continue to do it? Look in the mirror and paint the true picture, like we do when we apply our concealers and our foundation, and you all look very lovely, ladies, this evening, and draw a lipstick with grave honesty and acceptance of self. Often we look outwards to define and articulate the structure of our success. we miss in our own stories sometimes the long days and nights of strategy, persuasion, negotiation, compromise, prayers, tears, and networks with each other don't make it into our success motif. What is the structure of your success, I ask? Outline it again, but with you at the center. If you're to do it over again and share this structure of success with the next woman and generation, what would be the secret sauce that we can articulate, replicate, and scale? Understanding and sharing this honest structure of success story is very crucial in our collective progress as women, and the numbers will tell you why. 50% of MSMEs are run by women. That is 700,000 in number. Only 5% of these women have prior or ongoing business skill training, and 70% of women get their training from their social contacts. While small firms record the highest percentage of the presence of a female top manager at 22.1%, this number decreases with the growing size of the firms to only 8.8% in large firms. One thing I ask us today, as women in business, is that we strive for one goal only: keeping women in business long and deep enough that we have no business dropouts, that we do not leave before the end has arrived.
We have lobbied for policies that support women entrepreneurs to ensure they have access to funds, better working conditions, and capacity building offered to them. We are also actively involved in governance and various policy formations. We have also introduced the Women in Business Awards to celebrate the women trailblazers in the different sectors in our country. Women in Business Awards recognizes exceptional women in business for their socio-economic contribution and impact. Awardees are women from the private and informal sectors and business owners who have achieved success by overcoming limiting norms and challenges. We want to thank tonight our President, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, for supporting the SMEs to have ease of access to finance. Recently, he negotiated for various financial institutions to reduce the cost of accessing funds. Specifically, on our mobile loan Fuliza, which has always been part of our engagements. As women in business, we welcome the Hustler Fund initiative to be launched 1st December, which will support many SMEs to access credit to run their businesses.
The private sector must be facilitated to play the role that only the private sector can play. In New York, they now have a concept they call dual power. And they are recognizing that government can only do so much, but the rest must be done by the citizens. That government can play a role in creating an enabling environment but citizens must put all meaning together. And I've come here today to challenge you in a small way that you are doing tremendous work. I have followed you closely. From the time I participated from the side of the Kenya Church, supporting the constitution-making process as a Christian. And after the constitution was put together, I knew that the next frontier was going to be the quality of leadership. Because it's one thing to have a constitution, it's another thing to have the leadership culture that makes it happen. And we began to invest in that process and supported the devolution process, and that's how I met the women in business. When we went around the country supporting the county government to create space and have investment conferences and bring people on that table, including women, so that they play a role. My path came into the path of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, of KEPSA, of CAM, and women in business. And I began to work alongside you guys and began to do a mentoring program, which I have also been involved for a long period. I have mentored more than 5,000 young people in the business space across Africa, but also across this country. I was privileged to be a CEO in the United States when I was only 29 years old, and I know the power of mentoring. When you take the life of a young person and begin to give them a global perspective, you recognize something that I did recognize, that Africa has content. But what is selling is not content, it's confidence. And if you can help Africa, especially the African woman, to have the confidence in knowing who she is in Christ, in God, and she will come to a place where she recognizes her worth, and she will recognize that the leaders of old who traded in purple clothes can also be in Africa. And I have walked this journey now as the Chief Administrative Secretary in the National Treasury and Planning, asking very tough questions. We have tried pass-through funds. The pass-through funds are the ones which government makes available for business people, but you repay. And we are discovering that the default rate is very high because it seems to be associated with government, and so it seems to be free. And it seems also not to be accompanied by other elements which the women in business have. It's called mentoring. It's called coaching in business. It's called responsibility and accountability in small groups.
I do run a foundation called Akili Foundation, where we do try our best to give an opportunity to those women and men who messed up their first opportunity in life, and they are looking and they need desperately a second chance in life. In other words, we do some element of rehabilitation and then empowerment by giving skills to women who may be in their prime of their lives. They had a misfortune of having a child or two and could not be able to proceed with their education. I think that's another group of women who need to be considered, because when they start doing their businesses, and in particularly we empower them with skills like baking skills, cooking skills, knitting skills, and tailoring, and running their beauty spaces.
To be here and to have gone through the process of coming up with the winners of the awards today. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nancy Amunga. I'm so glad to have been a judge. And today, I want to thank all of you for being here. You know, we're going to give a platform to a woman who's going to shine. And we are so glad as judges that you could attend today and be with us as we honor these great women. Karibuni sana.
Good evening. My name is Susie Wakabi. They also call me Susie Beauty. And part of this judging panel, which is an honor. It's the second time I'm doing this. And this is amazing to be able to give a platform to women and men, and the ones who are for women, anyone who advocates for us, because we all need it. So glad to see you all.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amakove Wala. I was the deputy judge on the panel. I'm also an entrepreneur. So I brought forth the experience of startups because I've walked that journey the past couple of years. I'm really, really excited to see all the women who put their best foot forward. And we are really, really looking forward to see the winners, because we also don't know. Asante.
All protocols observed. This evening, I'm humbled. My name is Joyce Wamahio. I want to echo the beautiful words of Referred Kathy Kuna, that you are the great and you've been brought down. Courtesy of my president, this is Mary Mudoni, I want to offer through her office the first 100 people. I'm a tax expert. And taxation in Kenya have been very, very, very easy. Kaidre ladies, don't shy away. Don't say taxation is an animal. It has been made easy. If you are in this room and you need a tax advice, I'm going to give it for free. Kaidre, welcome to this gracious event and feel at home. Thank you very much.
Somebody said, I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Tonight, we're all here as judges to see those who have touched the sky. I am Dashanaba King, also known as Queen Mother. You can catch us every Wednesday live at 5 p.m. on Queen Mother Speaks. We want to hear your story, but tonight, we want to honor those who are touching the sky.
That's very powerful. My name is...
This award I dedicate to my children and to all my clients and my students who've believed in me, because I managed to train all over the country about 600 students, and we've had clients who've believed in us since 2015, since we started baking, and I can say for sure this is just a proof that we're just getting started. I would say, obviously, for us women, we've got to really do a little extra. For, let's say, when you go to a room, you have to prove yourself. It's not just about, it's obvious that you're going to get an opportunity. You've got to prove yourself. Sometimes you've got to do things that are believed to be men's jobs. So you really have to prove yourself. That's what I can say.
I'm very happy to be here because for me, really, women is a powerhouse. And when women are empowered, it is really the engine of every economy, because women, the way we know women, there's a lot of potential. So I would say personally, I have walked the journey empowering the women in Kenya from really the grassroots, walking the journey from 2013, and where we are now, we have seen the way the women have really coming up, even in the space of business, in the space of corporate world, and really impacting the world and the families changing. So for me, any decision making, we will need to have the women on the table, because women have a lot to offer. And using myself, I would really want to encourage women. You have what it takes. Focus on your goal, have a vision, have a long-term view, and really you can go very far. And once you do that, the country is going to benefit, the continent is going to benefit, and the entire humanity.
I'm so happy. I thank God. I give this award to, I want to dedicate this award to God, my family, my friends, and the woman out there who was told that her place is in the kitchen. yeah, and not the negotiation table, yeah. I want to encourage every woman out there and want to tell them that they can start small, yeah, and I'm so happy